Welcome back to WRPL. It's the podcast where we talk about all the things we are watching, reading, playing, and listening to. My name's Ben.
And I'm Steve.
How's it going, Steve?
It's going well, Ben. Let's get into it.
And I have no news, no trailers.
No news?
No news. Unless you have news. Nobody died.
No, not that I know of.
No trailers that I necessarily want to talk about.
We can just talk about the Last of Us 2 trailer again. Just kidding.
So let's roll it up.
Alrighty. 14.
Cool.
Not bad. I think I got 14 last week.
You did. Off the table. All right.
7.
Hey, I have 14. You're twice the man as me, Steve. You're so damn good at rolling. So today's main topic is Joker, Folie A Deux. And we don't have a ton of stuff, but I want to start strong.
Okay.
I want to start with a big recommendation.
Great.
There is a new movie that came out on Netflix called It's What's Inside. Have you heard of this?
No, I've not.
Okay. So it's 8 friends. They've all been friends since college. Some of them are in relationships with each other. They're getting together for one of their buddies' wedding.
Okay.
They're having it at another friend's house. It's a big mansion. His parents were artists, and so they're having it there. And they're wondering...
Anyone recognizable in this? Is it an American film? Is it a...
It is an American film, as far as I could tell. The only person I recognize is the person playing the social media influencer. She was on Fear the Walking Dead. Her name's Alicia something, and she played the character Alicia in Fear the Walking Dead. Just a pretty girl. And it's funny, she was always in Walking Dead in the apocalypse. I think she even cuts her own hand off at one point, and she's always just like beautiful looking, no flaws. Anywho, regardless, so they all get together and they're like, what's his name? Like Folger. I'll just call him Folger. Is Folger going to show up? Last time we saw him, his sister was sent into a mental institution because we were at a party and she freaked out and the cops are called. He lost his scholarship and then we never saw him again. It's been 8 years, but he went into the tech business and he's doing fine. We just haven't heard from him. I'm like, I don't know. And then here's Folger. And so he shows up with a briefcase like, hey, I have this fun game. And it's this little device that everybody puts these little electrodes on their foreheads, and he flips a switch, and they all switch bodies. And so they're all freaking out, like, how the hell are you doing this? And then, boom, flips them right back. See? It's just a fun little thing. So we're going to play a game of, like, Werewolf or Secret Hitler, and we're going to try to figure out who's in whose body. So you get these fun little moments of acting where someone who's maybe a douchebag normally, and now he's playing the quiet character, and this person is a little more sexually
promiscuous.
No, just like maybe a little forward.
Okay,
and then someone who's a little more of a prude, and they only switch boys and boys and girls, which is kind of weird. I thought they would do a guy goes into the influencer's body and is instantly like taking their clothes off or something, but they don't do anything like that. So then, they play a little game, and the main couple, she's really trying to work on their relationship. He's kind of just addicted to porn and the social media lady.
Okay.
And she's trying to make it work, and he's a huge piece of shit. But then when they're in other people's bodies, you start kind of seeing everybody. You don't know who's underneath that skin, and like people are hooking up, and they're just having a good old time. And then 2 of them die. And they realize, oh shit, that's my body that's dead. Now I'm stuck in this person's body? And the next person's like, no, that's my body. You don't get to have my body. And like, well, where the fuck am I supposed to go? And that's like more than halfway through the movie. Okay. There's a lot of like characters learning of their past and who they truly are. And then like the plot kind of kicks in an hour into the movie. It is really sweet. It's beautifully shot with great colors, lots of harsh lighting, really fun music, and the editing is great. Like they'll show 2 people talking, and then a filter will cover it, and you'll see who's actually inside the bodies talking to each other, and then it will flip back. And so it's kind of difficult to keep track of everyone.
Sure.
But that's part of the fun of trying to figure it out along with them. But when the crucial plot things are happening and you're going, wait, who's that one again? You kind of take yourself out of the movie to figure it out on your own. It's a whole lot of fun. Really good performances by everybody. A fun plot and a twist I saw coming a mile away.
Okay.
But one of the better movies I've seen this year.
So can I ask, unless it's spoilery, so the two people who are dead, is it like clearly they were murdered, or did they just like die mysteriously?
They were up on the roof and they were fucking because like the guy in the guy's body is looking at the outer shell of the woman that he actually loves, and he's sleeping with her, and the girl that's in that body doesn't really care. She just feels like kind of seen in that body, so they don't have anything for each other, but they're just allowing themselves to hook up, and they're up on a ledge, and the ledge breaks and they impale themselves on a piece of artwork.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Okay, cool.
What do you got?
And one more time, what's it called?
It's What's Inside.
It's What's Inside.
Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, I finished a book, Mistborn, Book 3, The Hero of Ages. I'm finally done the trilogy.
Now, let me ask you, and I'll probably cut this out. Is it M-I-S-T, just Mistborn, B-O-R-N?
M-I-S-T, and then, well, but it's all one word. It's together, but M-I-S-T, yeah.
B-O-R-N, no E at the end?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I didn't know if it was an M-Y-S-T.
No, nothing fancy. It's just M-I-S-T-B-O-R-N.
Mistborn 3.
Mistborn 3, The Hero of Ages.
Is this the last of the...
This is the last of this trilogy. There is another set of stories in this world called the Wax and Wane saga. I don't know much about that. I'm not in a rush.
Stuff with the moon?
What?
It has stuff with the moon. Is the moon important? Because waxing and waning is the phases of the moon.
Oh, shit.
Oh, God, Steve. This is elementary school.
I was like, what are you talking about? Sure, maybe. So anyway, book 3, not as good as book 2. I think book 2 is definitely the best. I think book 2 has like the highest it feels like it has the highest, stakes in this underlying like, when is everything gonna kind of like go to shit? And this third one was just kind of like a lot of waiting around. Like there's still plenty of like big action moments, but it's like, okay, we're gonna like go to this city and like we have to decide if we're gonna like put it what do you call it, siege the city or whatever, or do we not attack because we want to save the people inside because the world is ending and we're just trying to save as many people as possible. And so it's just like chapters of chapters just like, well, we want to attack but we can't because then we'll kill these people, and it's just like a lot of back and forth. And you have one character who you've loved through the first 2 stories like having a existential depression crisis because he's just like he was the religious guy in all the stories, and now he's like, I've lost my faith in all religions, because his thing was like he studies religion, so he's not like, he doesn't believe necessarily in any of them, but he just kind of like believes in all of them, and so he'll just share those religions with people, and that's just kind of his thing. But now he's just like, I'm just going to disprove all religions. That's my new goal. A little louder. So anyway, it's an enjoyable book. I remember like when I was doing kind of research about this book, and it's like, is this series something I want to get into? It's everyone recommended it. If you like fantasy, check out Mistborn. Brandon Sanderson's like the guy right now, and you talked about like I really wanted to stick the landing in book 3, and so for a good chunk of this, I'm like, it's fine, but I'm not super loving it. And then it gets to the end and it does that thing that I've had a couple of experience with in fantasy books where it's just like, it's still like, it feels like it's building to a climax and there's like 40 pages left. Like, what the fuck is going to happen? Or is it going to be like one big cool moment and then just like, and then they all lived happily ever after and you don't get any like sort of like after effects. And you kind of do that, but I think it's done really, really well. And the ending surprised me. Not how like the overall total end of it was, but what happens to like certain characters and everything. It's like, oh, I didn't think that was where this was going. But anyway, if you're a fan of fantasy and sort of like fast-paced action adventure, but like it kind of feels like a young adult novel, but also like very much like not. It's, it's not about like love triangles or whatever, but it's like the magic is really well thought out and how it's used, and it's easy to sort of follow after the first book and everything, and it just. I recommend it. It was a good time. I don't think it's the greatest series by any means that I've ever read, but it definitely made me go like, okay, I'll read more from this author because he puts out like 4 books a year. That's not true, but everyone talks about how fast he writes. He writes a lot of books.
Are they all in this franchise, or does he have multiple franchises?
Multiple franchises that are all in, or most of the stories are in the the Cosmere universe, but like different stories take place on like different planets in his universe.
Okay.
That's kind of like how they explain it. So while they all exist in the same universe, they'll never. People from Mistborn will never cross paths with people from like the Stormlight Archive saga or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
That's like a whole separate thing, whole different magic system, whole different like sort of time period. But yeah, so as my first dive into the Sanderson world, Mistborn, it's worth a read. I think it's definitely due for an adaptation. I think
you say that a lot, Steve.
I'm just saying it's very easy. I mean, it would be expensive, and I think he's talked about multiple times. He's like, I've met with plenty of producers and people who they're like, yes, let's make this movie. It sounds awesome. And then they see the price tag and they're like, you know what? Fuck it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're out. But I think, personally, I'd like to see it animated.
Okay.
Because I think there's so much awesome action sequences in this movie that if not done right, it would look so CGI and kind of like, I think doing it sort of like an anime style thing would make it like pretty fucking awesome. So that's what I'm leaning to. If you're gonna make the Mistborn into either a movie or a series, just go with the anime route, because I think it would translate into those action sequences really, really well.
Cool.
So Mistborn, that's what I got.
I watched a new movie today called VHS Beyond.
Let's go through this real quick.
They can't get enough of those VHS movies, and neither can I. Even though I would say the majority of VHS shorts are not great.
Sure.
There's a lot of them that are just miss the mark. And this one is supposed to be cosmic horrors, or at least that's how it was sold to me. Cosmic horrors and aliens. Not so much cosmic horror, more alien, but not all of them. There are 2 that have nothing to do. One is written and directed by Justin Long and his brother.
Sweet.
And that one's called like Fur Babies, and it's just this woman who raises dogs and does weird taxidermy with them, and this group of activists who are coming in to stop her, and she's actually like kidnapping people and turning them into like dogs herself, like sewing little paw pads onto their hands and teeth, and then making them live in cages. It's pretty messed up.
Route.
Yes. Very exactly.
I see you, Justin Long.
Exactly.
Watch Tusk, everybody. Tusk is sweet.
And it's probably one of the better ones, but after you get to a certain point in, okay, I know where this is going. Let's wrap it up. There's one. I'm happy they have like a Bollywood director who did one, and it's in India, and it's about an actress who's the new hotness, but she's like a robot and she's stealing people's faces, and it's stupid. It was really bad.
Was there a musical number?
Yes, actually. Nice. And it goes on too long, just like so many of their movies. There's one about skydivers who they see like a UFO while they're up in the plane, and it's like warping around, and they scatter American fighter jets to go get it, and then it appears right in front of their plane and they crash, and so they're all like sent out, and they land in an orchard, and the aliens running around taking them out. And it's kind of like a fun idea, but the alien looks real stupid. Like, imagine something on all fours, but you take the back legs and curl them up backwards like scorpion tails, but onto the ground.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
It's just kind of stupid looking, and I don't understand it. And then they have these slits in their face where they open up and they zap you in the face. I don't know what's going on, but it's not very good. The first one is, I mean, there's always a wraparound story.
Okay.
And that one is just like trying to disprove of this tape, and it's pretty mediocre, but it's fun. The Corridor crew guys, show up as like people
nice.
trying to debunk to see if this is a real alien thing or not.
That's fun.
The very first one is like cops going into a house to get these babies that were kidnapped, and then it turns out this meteor had fallen out of the sky through the roof and it landed in this house, and it hatched some weird bird monster alien, and it's pecking into people's brains, into their foreheads, and sucking their brains out, turning them into zombies. And then like a mama bird feeding the brains to the babies and turning them into little bird aliens. It's kind of fun, kind of gory, kind of stupid at the same time, but it gets you in the mood.
For what?
for the rest of the VHS.
Yeah, you're really selling it to me, buddy.
Yeah, and then the last one is just this written by Mike Flanagan and his wife.
Katie Seagal.
Yeah, it's something like that. Katie Siegel.
Sure, yeah.
And she directed it.
Oh, cool. Good for them.
It's just a woman doing some interviews in the desert about these lights that have shown up, and so
she's not starring. She's
not.
Okay.
No. And then she sees the lights in the sky. One of them lands. Oh, it's an alien ship. She goes inside. There's wacky nanoparticles that like she cuts her hand and it fixes her. And like, oh, this is kind of cool. And then the alien shows up and she's hiding. She's like, I got to get the hell out of here. But then the door is gone and she gets taken into outer space and she's looking out the window at Earth like, well, this kind of fucking sucks. And it like warps her out of there and it bashes her around and the nanobots kind of fix her up. But she's trying to kill herself because what am I supposed to do? But the nanobots keep fixing her and is mixing her with other little creatures that were found on the ship, so she's getting all more mutated and she can't die. That one's probably the best one.
That's a fun idea.
It's really neat looking. But all in all,
would you say that's the best one?
That's the best one. Yeah.
Okay.
All in all, not the greatest VHS collection. Most of them aren't great. But I'll keep watching them because I love anthologies.
Well, of all the VHS movies, which one has your favorite segment? And do you remember which?
I don't know because like the first three, it's been so long since I've seen those ones, and there's at least one good one in all of them except for maybe three. I think VHS Viral is like a real bad one. But I'd have to go back through them. There's things that like a lot of them stand out because I didn't like them. There's one is it 88 or 94, and it's a GoPro body horror turning you into robots thing, and it was too much. But then you have the one where there's a rat monster in the sewer eating homeless people that is super fucking cool. Yeah, I don't really have a favorite. I'd say probably something in the first one.
Okay, yeah. Fair enough.
Yep. You got anything else? You're still playing your game. You don't need to talk about
still playing
that.
my game.
Yeah.
I'll wait till it's done, but probably nothing.
Not watching anything else, right?
I mean, watching My Hero, but who cares?
Yeah. Okay. Let's get to TV.
Okay.
So, Daryl Dixon season 2 is back. I'm not going to talk about it all that much, but I've only seen one episode, and this is Daryl Dixon, The Book of Carol. Terrible title, but Daryl's been in France this whole time. Now Carol's trying to track him down. And I forgot how good of a character Carol is and how meek and scared she was in the very beginning and how she had to kind of grow after losing her daughter. And now she'll do whatever it takes to get what she wants, and nobody believes that she could possibly be a bad guy. So she knows this is Daryl's bike, kills the guy that had it, takes it back to where Daryl was at one time, and just like makes a lie about, oh, this was my buddy's bike, and and tried to let me get some more information. Then, shoot them all in the kneecaps, and then, takes that information and goes somewhere else and meets a guy with an airplane. And it's like, oh, this guy's an airplane. I got to get to France because yada, yada, yada. She finds out was put on a boat going to France. And so she just like makes up the story about Sophia, like, yeah, my daughter and my husband went to France right before all this happened, and I want to get there to see if they're still alive. I gotta.
Do you know how many years it's been?
I think it's been 8 years from the beginning to now, somewhere in there. And because he tells her a story of losing his child, so she's like, oh, I'm gonna just milk this, and she'll just say whatever it takes, and to use this guy in his airplane and would have no problem shooting him in the back of the head if it benefited her. She's just like ruthless now. I love Carol.
So is this entire season just Carol's journey to get to
We've
Daryl?
seen Daryl, and like he's with the nuns and the little boy who's like the next coming of Jesus or whatever. But it was just small bits. So I'll let you know next week when I watch tonight's episode
Okay.
to see if it jumps back and forth or if it's just all. Because I think they get to France by episode 2.
Okay.
So I'm sure they'll get together real quick.
I wonder if the people who wrote the show like watched The Leftovers and they're like, well, we can't make that, but we'll do some like religious shit in between this like zombie stuff.
Yeah.
You know, the Book of Carol, the Book of Nora, the Book of
Boba
Kevin,
Fett.
Book of Boba Fett. Yeah, it's all about this book. What's this book?
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, so we had a new show, not a new show, a show that we like come back. Vox Machina Season 3.
The Legend of Vox Machina.
I'm sorry.
No.
Legend of Vox Machina. When I started it, like, because we'll talk about Rings of Power, but I put that on, it finished, and then it's on there. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know this was back so soon. And I only watched the first episode, hit play, and one of the things I love is there's no catching up. Like, if you don't know what's going on, tough shit. We are right back into it. There was no previous on. It just went right into it. And
I mean, there might be like a, I don't know. I haven't.
I didn't see anything.
Like extras or something that you can click on.
Maybe, but normally that stuff would just kind of pop up.
Yeah.
Nope, just right into it. And I was a little confused in the beginning. I was like,
okay,
did he have bird wings before? What is this? And I'm like, oh yeah, they did all get kind of special abilities by the end of season 2.
Well, no, half of them at least got like a magical item.
So and I stopped for a second and thought, should I rewatch a recap or watch at least the last episode? Like, no, I'm just gonna roll with it. So
roll.
But I had a good time with that first episode. I'm excited to see where it's going. And this is the last season, right?
This will wrap up the Chroma Conclave arc, so like the dragons. And then I don't know if season 4 will be the last season, but I think from the end of the Chroma Conclave stuff in the like live campaign, 4 is a relative like there's 5 arcs. The 4th arc is like kind of short, and the 5th arc is just like them fighting the ultimate evil thing.
Okay, so the big red dragon is not the ultimate evil. There's more ultimate evil.
There's more ultimate evil. They kind of hinted at it in season 1 and throughout season 2 and stuff.
Or is it that shapeshifter person from season 1? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
I don't think they've ever said a name yet,
okay.
But there is an underlying darkness thing where you're just like, what the hell is that about? It comes back.
Okay.
Anywho, so I think I could see season 4 being the last season. I don't know if they've
just compact it.
Yeah, I don't know if they've officially said it or not. But
are they going to do any of their other campaigns?
Yeah, they've already released like kind of like an animatic of their new show. They're after I think season 2. I don't remember if it was before season 2 aired or after season 2 finished. They were like, yeah, their second campaign is already greenlit. They're animating that. It'll probably be out next year.
Okay,
is my guess.
Louder.
And I imagine as long as the second show is just as successful as this one, we'll get their third campaign on Amazon as well.
Which one had the robot, like fresh cut grass or something?
Grass, that's campaign 3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. So we're quite a few years away from the animated
7-8 years from now? Okay.
Probably, 2 or 3.
Because are there other campaigns as long as this first one?
So the first one, if I remember correctly, it was like 105 episodes or something like that. Not counting like offshoots and stuff, or like one-shot things. I think campaign 2 was like 85 or 90 or something like that. And then I think as of right now, campaign 3 is still going on, and it's at like 100. It's over 100. I don't know what the number is. So yeah, there's a ton of fucking episodes. Cool. Yeah.
Anything in this episode? Oh, what's his name? The bard has like a kid.
Yeah, that was revealed last season.
Yeah, you can't expect. I watch too much stuff to remember every little detail.
It was in the back half of season 2.
And that was what, a year ago? I don't remember last year.
Keely, I think her name is.
Yeah.
Yep, has a daughter.
No. Wait. I'm talking about the dwarf uh, bard has a daughter.
The gnome bard has a daughter. Yes.
Yes. And Keely is the elf. The plant lady. We're talking about two different people.
No, that's well, Vax calls her Kiki. That's
You said Keely.
yeah, I think Keely. I could be wrong.
Okay. She has a daughter too?
No.
You just now said she has a daughter.
Yeah. God damn it. The bard has a daughter. I think her name is Keely. Or Kaylee. Something like that.
Then what's the
The druid's name is fuck, I don't remember the druid's name. Oh god, I
I
remember
thought
the
her name was Keely.
Is it? I'm so embarrassed.
But she got to kiss Wing Boy finally.
Vax.
Yeah.
Keyleth. Jesus Christ.
Ah,
Yeah. Keyleth is her name.
okay.
Now let me look up this chick. Kaylee, yeah.
Okay. Real creative.
Keyleth and Kaylee. No relation to each other whatsoever.
That's annoying because they have
You fucked me up,
Vax, Vex, and then it's Vox Machina. Don't do that.
Well, Baxeldan and Vexalia. But
Okay.
it's just, yeah,
and
Vax, Vex, and Vox.
and then don't call it Vox Machina. Call it something else.
Well, when they made these characters, I don't think they expected to become millionaires and launch their own company that makes games and makes TV shows now. But anyway, so overall, what did you? I mean, we just talked about the bard having a Scan the bard having a daughter. They have to. Oh wait, I don't think you got that far. Never mind. I'll let you take the lead on this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because it's such a just getting back into it. Oh, we fight the dragons for a minute, and then we meet our new nemesis, this weird shadow lady. I think she's a shadow lady.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Sure.
but it not enough happened to make me like get excited for anything, but it's still good enough that I'm definitely going to keep watching.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still invested, but it's really a show I feel you need to kind of get the ball rolling. I really should have watched the first three, but I had so many other things to watch. I couldn't get to it. But yeah, I'm into it.
Yeah, I mean, we see a new continent that I don't think we've seen before. Maybe in episode 2, I think they go there. Anyway, never mind. I'll just wait till you catch up. I don't want to spoil anything. But there's some cool stuff coming. I'm looking forward to seeing them fight some more dragons and everything.
I'm kind of over the dragons. Like, let's be done with it already.
Well, you just don't like dragons in general.
No, I think they're fine, but it's just been it's been a lot.
Yeah.
And if they killed him in like episode 3, and then they continued on with their quest doing the other stuff, I'd be pretty happy with that. But if it's not until the end of this season where they finally defeat him, it's, I don't know, it gets a little old.
Yeah. I mean, in the very first episode of season 1, they kill a dragon.
Yeah.
And then little do they know that dragon had connections to those other 4 dragons.
Don't you know who I am? I got connections.
And they don't even kill the second dragon till the end of season 2.
Yeah.
And there's still 3 dragons left.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we got to kill 3 dragons in one season. It took us 2 seasons to kill 2 dragons.
Yeah.
So, anywho, fun stuff. I look forward to seeing what sort of crazy antics ensue.
Yep.
And, maybe they'll pull on some heartstrings. Who's to say? Who knows?
Are you hinting at something?
I don't know.
Someone's gonna die. Someone's gonna fall in love, then die.
Who knows?
Okay,
man.
all right.
Well, let's tune in.
Let's get to Rings of Power.
Yeah.
Finally done. 8 episodes. Good. Don't milk it. Don't drag it out any longer than it needs to be. But starting that last episode on the previously on, it's like, hey, remember all these characters we didn't touch on last episode? Bet you're real excited to wrap these people up. I'm like, fuck, I forgot. We got to deal with this human bullshit. And Isildur and Poppy and all this shit. I'm like, fuck, I'm not looking forward to this episode. But it was actually a really good episode. I had a good time.
I'm just going to say it. Rings of Power is a perfectly fun show. I'm enjoying the show.
Yeah.
I saw a thing on Reddit where they talked about, like, it's so great that everyone who hated the show who watched season 1, they're like, this show fucking sucks. They left, and so now it's just like mostly positive
Yeah.
things of just like, yeah, maybe it's not the best or whatever, but everyone here is enjoying it, so
Yeah.
let's all just enjoy it
Yeah.
together, and it's beautiful. Yeah, I had a great time with this episode. I still have issues with it. Yeah, like you said, all the human stuff. Don't give a fuck about. Don't care about Isildur. And
The worst. I think he's the worst character in the show.
I don't know if he's the worst. It's just they haven't given him anything to do since his like introduction.
It's so boring.
He's just been the son of Elendil who's doing all his stuff with the queen, which like that stuff is kind of interesting, but also
no, it's not.
I just mean in terms of just like there at least there's like a plot there of just like overthrowing the
Sure,
kingdom
yeah.
and tossing them into the sea to like.
But then they just take it back and they're like, oh, the sea tossed her back. She's chosen. Psych. Let's just kill her anyways.
I said it. I'm not for that. I'm just saying there's at least something there where Isildur is just kind of like he's just a guy who's hanging out and like you know
there's a girl
he's
I like
the most important person or supposed to be by the end of this thing. And maybe not the most important person, but he's got like a major role to play in the story that's coming. She's like,
sure,
well, we'll just have him hang out and like be good looking, I guess. And then you team him up with this other chick who's like stunningly gorgeous.
Yeah.
Good for her. But like, I don't care about her. I like her story, her joining him. It's like I don't know what role she has to play. I don't know if I care. Or if it's just like, well, we didn't have anything for him to do this season, so we gave him maybe people will forgive the lack of story if there's a pretty girl there. I don't know. But yeah, did not care. Who else? And
Gandalf is Gandalf. Oh, yeah. Big surprise. Saruman is Saruman. Big surprise.
Yeah, I can see in the writer's room they thought like, oh, this will be real fun or this will be real cute. Like all the little Hobbit people going like, goodbye, Grand Elf. And I just like groaned and rolled my eyes like, Jesus fucking Christ.
It's like, we got to be able to give a reason why his name is that. Like, can it just be his name?
And I think it was. I don't think he heard that. And it's just, once he did the magic and chose friendship, he figured out his true name, and it just happened to be close to Grand Elf. I don't know. It was just silly.
Yeah. I mean, I think I prefer the, make your staff out of the Gan tree than calling him Grand Elf and like, oh, did you say Gandalf? It's
yeah, that was silly. I mean, I like the idea of him teaming up with Tom Bombadil and Tom Bombadil being the sort of otherworldly figure who guides him on a journey. Because like, who else could guide a wizard on their journey other than like this being that is indescribable to the world itself? And it's just like, I was here before the first tree was ever planted, or it's like whatever the fuck that means. But yeah, that storyline I didn't care for. And then him and Poppy like splitting up, or not Poppy, him and Nori splitting up at the end. It just seems like, okay, so are they like writing Nori off because we don't really need her, or is like, is that going to be its own separate story? Because like they've only ever been together, so once they're separated, I can care about Gandalf because I know Gandalf has a major part to play.
Yeah.
But what do I need with Nori for?
No, they'll be like, wow, I can't wait to get back to our family. And then they'll come across a bunch of orcs, and then they'll be captive of the orcs. Yeah.
We have to warn the stranger, I guess.
Or they'll be the subplot of, like, Shelob. I'm sure we'll see some Shelob stuff, right? We're doing everything else. So like, oh, we got all turned around. How do we get back? Let's cut through this area. And then they come across Shelob.
Yeah, they just is this trying to just be Sam and Frodo 2.0?
Yeah.
Just a different version of, here's the two hobbits who trek across. Are they gonna be the ones to run in? Well, Gollum wouldn't be there.
No.
So yeah, are they gonna run into some other mysterious weird creature that takes them on the journey? It's like, it has to be get through Mordor. It's like, don't send them to Mordor.
Anything that they need, like, okay, well, we've done the Balrog now. Cool, we've seen it. What else can we do? And once they figure out what they want to take from the books, they go, okay, put Poppy and Nori with that. They discover that one. That's how we could work this in. It has nothing to do with the bigger overarching plot of these rings, but you gotta put in XYZ, so make them
be stupid. But honestly, you know what? Put Poppy and Nori against the Balrog. I'll be excited for that storyline. So yeah, those are the two storylines I cared about the least. So let's go with, I guess up next is Doran. And I liked all the dwarf stuff.
Yeah,
I think they look great.
That Balrog looks cool.
The Balrog scene was fucking sweet.
Yeah.
It just seemed like, okay, you spent 2 seasons kind of like teasing it. We got to it over and instantly. And now that it seems like it's sealed away again, at least at the moment, and whatever. It's like, so they just, okay, well, we're never gonna dig anymore.
Yeah.
Problem solved. It's like you had it, it was there for a cool moment. Now it's just gone.
Yeah.
But it has to come back because it's Khazad-dûm.
Yeah.
You know what happens to this place.
Yeah. And so do the dwarves abandon Khazad-dûm completely? Because in Lord of the Rings, we like Gimli is okay. You know the skeleton that gets knocked down the well.
Yeah.
That's one of the hobbits from The Hobbit.
That's one of the dwarves from The Hobbit.
Yes. I'm sorry. Yes. So
the nerds will come for it.
So it's like, did the dwarves come back once in a while, or hey, we'll use this as a shortcut? Or did they still inhabit it because we saw like goblins were now taking it over?
So if I remember correctly, do you remember at the in the Hobbit films there was the dwarves in the battle with Azog, and Azog killed the one dwarf king and like held his head up and threw it in front of Durin, and Durin, like, I believe that was all in front of Moria.
Okay.
Like that was a big battle for Moria that I think the dwarves, or I guess they rallied behind, whatever. There's always been like a constant struggle for Moria, and I think at some point Moria is lost to the goblins and orcs or whatever, and so like some of the dwarves from the Hobbit in their quest, they went back to Moria and sort of like reclaimed a big portion of it, and then but it's not, I don't think they fully took over all of Moria. It was just like they took enough back to where like they could live there and stuff, and then they were just swallowed. Like the goblins kept coming, and eventually like lost or whatever.
And where's Smaug? What?
Smaug is in Erebor.
Okay, all right. So hey, we haven't seen Smaug. We could do more. Poppy and Nori find Smaug and go on a little adventure with him.
Except I don't think that would make much sense, because in The Hobbit, then he was just like, I've never smelled your kind before.
Okay.
Tasted dwarf.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Who fucking cares? It doesn't matter. Just bring Smaug in if you want. I don't care. I'll take a dragon.
Yeah, I just wasn't sure. Like, okay, the Balrog is now out and makes it so uninhabitable because it's wrecking shop. But we've seen in Lord of the Rings, like, they still have their canyons and everything. It's still like it's not in ruin.
Yeah.
Or it's not in rubble, I should say.
Well, I mean, at the end, the one dwarven ring was survived, because we see Durin look at it, and we have a tease of just like, oh, people are talking about your brother Durin, so I think that could be a cool thing, seeing, dwarven politics and like which.
But it's like, is he going to allow the other dwarves to take the rings? He saw what it did to his dad. Is he going to put it on and go, well, I can handle it better?
I don't remember the history to say if Durin will wear it, but it could be. And then it could be one of those things of just seeing, Durin and Elrond's relationship kind of breaking, because it's like, I had to wear this ring in order to like keep my kingdom. And then he's like, I guess maybe Durin's the one who keeps digging, because they have to at some point. They
have to keep digging? Do they?
Well, they dug too greedily and too deep, and
that's what they just did. They released it.
I'm saying
is he really sealed in? It was a little cave in. Like,
I'm just saying
he could push through that hole.
Just from the context of the show, they're back in their throne room, and they're just like, "Hey, we got to worry about, who's going to rule the kingdom now." But it doesn't seem like they're just like, "Guys, we really got to deal with this Balrog." It just seemed like they were kind of like, "Well."
And maybe over. That will be a thing of, I don't want to use these rings, but the Balrog is going to keep coming for us. But if we have the rings, we could keep him at bay.
Maybe.
It could be that. Because what happens to the seven dwarves who have the rings? 7 dwarves.
I don't.
Do they all die?
So I don't think there's ever like really descriptive, like what happens to each of them individually or anything like that. But I believe, if I remember correctly, 4 rings are recovered by Sauron, or 3 or 4 of them are recovered by Sauron, and the rest are like taken or eaten by dragons.
Oh, okay.
So, but from this show, I don't know if we'll ever see any of those other dwarves, or I mean, they could do like a quick, montage, and you see other dwarves and other kingdoms, maybe getting eaten by dragons or whatever the fuck, or just turning evil. But yeah, Sauron gets at least half of them.
Okay.
Because he's the Lord of them,
Yep,
as this
yep.
episode perfectly describes.
So let's talk about Sauron and Celebrimbor. Poor dude, just taking arrow after
Oh,
arrow
man.
after arrow.
That's the kind of shit I like to see. I mean, not
Yeah.
that sounds weird. I just mean like it's good to see that this Dark Lord is doing Dark Lord shit,
Yeah.
other than just being sort of manipulative and
Mhm.
slitting a throat every now and then. He's like, no, I'm gonna do some fucked up shit from time to time, which I appreciate. But yeah, I just want to say, I think it's Charlie Vickers who's playing Sauron. He's been fantastic this
Yeah.
season. I've liked every scene that he's in. I think you know say what you will about the show. I think he's great.
Mhm.
And I've really enjoyed Sauron like getting to be evil and doing manipulative stuff and
Mhm.
kind of using some of his powers and just being a real fucking gaslighter. Just fun stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, poor Keller Brimbor kind of, you know, just being the reason so many people get fucked over.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't his intention, he was trying to do a good thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, he went out like a true elf, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you feel bad for the orc he killed, who was just like kind of a side character this whole season?
Yeah. And the one
Glug.
to betray Adak?
Adar.
Adar? Yeah, he's like just been around the whole time, and then just like, Master, we couldn't do the
That guy had a kid.
I know. But I did like that they did turn on Adar and just gave him the same treatment that happened to Sauron in the first
Very
episode.
poetic.
Yeah. I didn't know that actor was recast. It's a different guy from season 1 to season 2.
Yeah, season 1 I think was the same guy who played Benjen Stark in Game of Thrones. And then season 2 is just
Benjen Stark. Oh, the one that comes back from Beyond the Wall, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
After like 7 seasons. He was in 1 or 2 episodes.
He had the flaming chain thing.
Yeah,
okay, yeah.
It was just like,
whatever happened to that guy? Does he die in Game of Thrones?
In the context of the show, he dies
does
there
die?
saving Jon Snow.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, you don't really you see him die, but it's not super clear. You're like, will he come back? But he just
like that elf we talked about last week. We're like, oh, is he gonna die? And then oh no, he's fine. He's cool.
There's one thing that made me furious this episode. Jesus. There's one thing that made me furious this episode. It's that fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because it's one thing if I didn't really expect him to die. It made it seem like he could have. Because you take a sword or a spear, whatever it was, to the chest or stomach, there's a good chance you're probably going to die. And I know he's an elf, and I know there's elf magic, and you sprinkle some magic water or whatever, and it's like, look, he healed it right up.
Yep.
But the show didn't fucking acknowledge that wound at all, and that drove me insane.
Yeah.
It's like, I can deal with whatever other bullshit in this episode, but that, I think, is a sin. And
a cinema sin,
and just a fuck you to the audience that I didn't appreciate.
Yeah,
it's just like, oh look, we're gonna tease this awful thing that might happen, and just go like, you know what? Don't fucking worry about it. We just wanted to like make you worried for a week.
Yeah, it's plot armor.
It's just
like
God damn it.
Galadriel falls off a cliff at the end.
Yeah, that was stupid, but I'm just I can even forgive that for whatever reason. I just can't forgive that. That was horrendous. But we see the founding of Rivendell. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Looks nice. I'd hang out there. Sorry. But yeah, I just think that, I don't know, it's like the cast is like a decent size, but it feels like every season we can only focus on, because there's only 8 episodes, we can only really give 4 people their due diligence in a season. And it's like Arondir had like nothing to do this season except show up and do some like occasionally cool Legolas shit. But like I think you could have wrote him out of this season and it wouldn't affect anything.
Yeah.
Isildur's stuff was like boring. He could have survived Mount Doom and just gone back home with his dad and like dealt with his sister being, joining the cult of Pharazôn or whatever. That would have been more interesting.
Is that the guy that looks like kind of evil Jack Black?
Yeah.
Every time he's on screen, I'm just thinking...
He's got a great bad guy face.
He does, but I just think, what's Jack Black doing here?
The Nori stuff, I don't know. I think you could have had Gandalf's quest essentially be the same thing, and you could have wrote around, like, not having Nori or Poppy there. Like, this is to this is too big for us. We're gonna go home, and
Yeah,
then you just
but
have him.
it makes sense, like why he has an affinity for them. I get it.
No, I
Yeah,
get that too, and I don't necessarily like want them to go away because I like hobbits and I like their cutesy like innocence and stuff in
yeah.
this dark, awful world. But
It's the life we all like want to live.
yeah, but I don't think you really got to see that this season because they
Hmm.
barely did anything.
Yeah.
It's like have Gandalf fight this dark wizard or whatever, like really struggle with like, do I choose friendship or,
Hmm.
join this guy? And it's like, give me like they needed like scenes to like really love each other, and I just don't think there was any of
Yeah,
that.
because there's only like two episodes where they're together, and then he creates a whirlwind, flings him off, and then he's just looking for him again. So
Yeah,
when they get reunited, it's just at the very, very end, like, oh, you're back, cool, all right, bye.
yeah, and then we have this uh, desert hobbit culture, which like
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a fun, cool idea. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, like these hobbits live in the desert, but they live in holes in the ground,
Mm-hmm.
and like maybe they do things a little bit differently, or they're not travelers.
Yeah. So
Uh,
you'll take the travelers, and maybe they'll come together and go, look, we
we
can
can
maybe do this
build things in the
together.
hills,
Yeah.
but I
Like, get out of
just
the fucking desert, man. You can't grow shit there.
it's just but it just seems like I didn't get enough of those people, or maybe if I don't need something with those people, but it just didn't feel like anything interesting was there other than to set up like, oh, we can live in one spot.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll do that in the Shire, whatever.
Yeah.
So there's fun stuff in the show. It's
Yeah.
but some stuff I'm like, what? I don't care about this.
So do you think next season is going to be all about like this slow corruption of the men with the rings, or is it going to happen pretty quick?
Sauron gets the
He gets the
nine. He
9,
just
yeah.
doesn't get Galadriel's ring at the
Yeah.
end. Elrond puts it on, which
Yeah,
is
and then he's
weird.
like, you know what? You're right. These rings are pretty cool. It's like even the whole season just bitching and moaning about how bad they are. Then like, nah, I'm cool with it now.
Yeah. Uh, I don't know.
Because
I think you have to. I think now that Sauron has the 9, next season will be him giving it. Well, you have to introduce.
9
I
or
don't think
8 more, because Jack Black will get one, right?
probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I could see it. Yeah. Um, yeah, I think you really only see like one, maybe two human people who really get it, and just focus on those characters. But like, are they going to be introduced as like great men who turn
Hmm.
evil, or are they like, or is it like you give one to Farazan? It's like, oh no, I'm kind of a piece of shit. So it makes sense why I would quest for
Yeah, and is it
power.
going to be like 9 different kingdoms across the land, or is it be I'm going to give one to you and your 8 advisors who are all great men, and they all turn because they're all relatively close to each other.
Yeah.
It's like if you want to stretch this out, yeah, you give it to all these faraway lands and watch them slowly decay, but we don't got time for that. Well,
Yeah.
actually, if they're doing 5 seasons, we do have time for that. But
Well, who knows? We got to get to the Battle of, uh, Mount Doom or
yeah,
whatever at the end of 5. Uh, yeah, I mean, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see them what they do with it, because I'm not sure because they're changing stuff from
yeah,
the books, but I'm also not a super expert on this age of Middle Earth. But at the end of the day, I'm having a good time with Rings of
yeah.
Power, and I think Rings of Power season 2 is a step up from season 1. I like it all.
I don't know. That first half of season 2 was real fucking slow. It really took its time getting to anything interesting.
Okay.
I did look it up because I just wasn't sure how many years it was before Lord of the Rings. I guess it's over 5,000 years. And then I remembered, oh yeah, Elrond has a daughter. When does Arwen come into play? Who does he have this kid with? And she is like 2,800 years. So we still got like another 3,000 years before
Yeah,
the
Elrond's got some
introduction of
time.
her.
Uh, but I did see a thing. Oh, real quick before we move on, the one character who I wish they wrote off after, like, it's fine they showed up in episode 1 or whatever to like have the funeral for his mom because that's a connection from season 1 with
Hmm.
Arondir. I get that, so that's fine. But I was hoping they would just get rid of Theo because I did
Oh,
not like that kid from season
yeah.
1. He's got annoying dumb face. First episode or second episode, whatever it was, he's like getting into trouble with this other band of whatever's. I just didn't care about him. I was like, get rid of him. But he's still here at the end of
Yeah.
the season. Like, ah. But I did see a theory that um, I guess Rohan doesn't quite exist yet,
Okay.
and Theo could grow up to be like a group who
Theoden.
who like
Uh,
founds Rohan, and
okay.
like they become horse people, and that's where you get the name like Theoden. It comes from Theo and all this kind of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. So that is the theory on the
Okay.
Reddits
Yeah,
that
that makes
Theo
sense.
could lead a group to and like settle in Rohan and then build,
Okay.
and he might be like the first king of Rohan or some shit. Or and I was like, that's a fun idea. I just
Yeah.
wish I fucking liked Theo because he seems like
Yeah.
he's a little douchebag.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, see it in another year and a half to 2 years.
Sure.
All right, let's get to our main topic. Joker 2, Folie A Deux. I keep calling it Joker 2. It's not Joker 2. It's just Joker Folie A Deux. The
Directed by Todd Phillips.
Todd Phillips. I was like, Todd Stewart?
Of road trip fame.
Old school.
Old school.
Yeah. Usually a comedy director, but, wanted to make a Joker movie, and Joaquin Phoenix wanted to do something similar. They came together and they made the Joker. And
Oscar-winning
performance. I like the Joker. I don't think it's perfect. I don't really care that much about the Joker, the character. So you could do whatever you want. Give him a name, give him a backstory. I don't care. There's 3 Jokers in the comics and they're clones or whatever. I don't care. So
when it comes to backstory, why not have multiple choice?
Yeah.
Whatever that line is.
And if you're not doing Batman, if you're not really doing that story, I don't care what this Joker is. If he's the influence on the real Joker or whatever, it's not really about that. It's just kind of, Gotham City having their class warfare and people getting on his side, and now there's riots in the street. Joker Folie A Deux is getting stomped on. People do not seem to like this movie very much. I was watching UFC with Nick last night, and we were talking about it, and I already knew he was not a fan, and I said, like, I liked it. Now I'll walk it back a little bit.
Okay.
I'll say, like, I didn't hate it. I don't have enough in me to shit on this movie because I think the acting performances are really good. It's shot very well. I think this is, for what it is, a pretty good movie.
Okay.
I do believe every issue and complaint everybody has are 100% valid. And I pretty much agree with a lot of it. But I don't feel the need to completely shit on this movie.
Sure.
What do you think?
Well, before I do that, did you like it more than you dislike, or are you perfectly like right in the middle, like I'm indifferent to this movie?
I wouldn't say I'm indifferent. I gave it a B plus. I'll probably drop it to a B, but
B plus is high.
I get that because even if I'd said like the first 45 minutes are kind of boring, I don't think I was bored. Like I said, I think they all, like, Joaquin Phoenix is insane. He's such a good actor.
Yeah.
You truly, truly believe he is this person. And I really like Lady Gaga in this. I think there's a lot here to like.
Yeah.
And it's not worth getting very upset because they didn't do the thing you wanted them to do.
I would. Your points are 100% valid. I accept them. My problem with this movie, and a problem I have, I feel like with a lot of movies lately, is that I agree. I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. Did I like this movie? Not really. But it's mainly because it's not that it's bad. It's just the potential there. I think there's a great film here that would lend itself to be a great sequel to the first one. But there is some creative choices in this where it's just like, I don't really know why you went this way.
Yeah. He didn't have another movie to steal from to make a great movie.
Because, like you said, from a directing visual standpoint, it looks just like the first one. There's nothing out of place really here. It fits perfectly with that world. The performances, all great. Joaquin is doing a fantastic job like he did in the first one. Lady Gaga, I liked in this movie. I think she makes sense as a choice for Harley Quinn because she's kind of a little bit of a weirdo.
Yeah.
And so is Harley Quinn. making her an inmate versus a doctor, I get, but still
Right.
going like, hey, she studied psychology in
Yeah.
college and she
Hmm.
had a breakdown or whatever, and she checked herself in here. And from like a crazy standpoint, because Joker, they're in like an asylum and stuff like that, or a prison or whatever. Uh, like having them go like Joker's kind of distance himself from reality or whatever, and so like having sort of dream sequences of him in a musical makes sense.
100%.
I can totally see why you'd make that choice. I don't like that it was like non-original songs. I
Yeah.
think it would have been more fun to do original songs, bring in
Hmm.
the Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin lays an egg. I'm just kidding. Uh, but having Joaquin Phoenix sing songs worse than the original artist.
Yeah. And we know he can sing. Like, he was in Walk the Line. He was Johnny Cash. He
Yeah.
sang those songs. He could do it. But Arthur Fleck isn't a good singer.
Yeah,
So,
like I understand why it would sound bad because Arthur Fleck is not a singer.
yeah.
But it
But
doesn't.
when it's a fantasy,
Yeah.
you make him sing.
But I think that the other thing is like none of the, or at least most of the singing, there wasn't like that a ton of the I'm on the rooftop that says Hotel Arkham,
Mhm.
like make all these songs La La Land.
Yeah.
You need to make them fun and beautiful and bright because that's how he feels maybe when he's with Harley or however Harley makes him feel. But a lot of times he's singing like in his prison cell or whatever, and it's just dark and dreary and a bummer when you're trying to like this is supposed to be kind of like an uplifting thing. And I understand as like, well, that's not the real world, and he's a sad person, and so we need to reflect that in the visual. But it's like, well, musicals generally tend to be like Sweeney Todd is about a serial killer who's just like murdering people indiscriminately and then serving them to people. So people are eating human pies, but that's a fun movie. I like Sweeney Todd. You might not.
I don't.
You're not even a musical guy, but you're not a musical
I like
guy.
my musicals to be comedies, like, South Park.
Sure, but my point is that movie that is like practically black and white in its bleakness is still fun with those songs.
Yeah.
And I mean, it helps that those are original songs, and it's a transition from Broadway to the screen, where this is just from the screen to make a musical. So it's a little bit different. So I get maybe that's why they went, but I don't know.
But you need more than just them talking.
Yeah.
Like 4 lines from a song because it has the exact emotion this person is feeling at
Talking
that
about
moment.
being a clown or whatever.
It's like they just searched what songs have smile, laugh, clown, and then looked at all those and said, which ones work, which ones don't. Well, okay, well, we can make this work. We can put this scene in just because it says smile.
Yeah.
That's perfect. And it feels like I know this is not the case, but like two things. They said, hey, you're going to make a Joker 2. And he said, it's going to be a musical. I know he said it was going to be a musical because he wanted them to can it because he didn't want to make a Joker 2, but we're ignoring that. It's like, but it's going to be a musical. It has to be. I'm like, well, okay, I guess. Does it really need to? We need to do like the trial and societal stuff. Like, no, but it's going to be a love story and a musical no matter what. Like, okay, sure. But then on the other side, it feels like Lady Gaga came to them and said, I wrote like 4 really good songs that are kind of about Joker and Harley, or you could at least imprint that on them. And they said, oh, you know what? These are good songs. We can make a musical out of this. At least we have the foundation.
Sure.
But there are no original songs, and they just pull these really odd, deep cut songs that I don't think have any sort of cultural relevance anymore. Where, you watch Guardians of the Galaxy, and there's songs that even if they're 40, 50, 60 years old, people still remember them because they are so catchy and they're just part of pop culture zeitgeist.
Yeah.
And these ones, a lot of people just may not even know what these songs are, and they aren't hooking people in the same way.
Yeah.
So it doesn't need to be a musical.
Yeah.
I think strip all that out, or lean into it, and like when he's doing the court scene and he's bashing the judge and then the wall blows up, that's a good scene because it's like in his head, he's singing his emotions, it's heightened, all the stuff with like him at the piano doing his little dance stuff, all that stuff is really, really good. But when he's seeing his trial on the TV and then he dances around a little bit, and then it cuts to, oh, that's all in his head. Like, that's not lean into enough.
Yeah.
Whereas like you get the guards, and the guards start dancing,
Yeah,
and then the big number, and then back to
tap
reality.
dancing in the cafeteria.
Yeah, and people are using their silverware to make sounds and stuff, and then you zip back into reality, and look how glum, how
That's what I wanted.
that's what it needed to be.
That's what it should have been. Or you take that sequence. The movie opens on an animated sequence.
Yeah.
So like, okay, you don't want to do a musical. Maybe Joker sees his world cartoony, very Looney Tunes esque. You know, cartoons of that time, and that sort of like lends to his humor and why Joker is this crazy like larger than life character, because he exists in this fantasy world of like everything's a joke and everything's cartoony, and that's why I can pull this giant hammer out and beat a judge's head in or whatever, because it's ha ha ha, like I grew up on Looney Tunes because my mom sexually abused me and stuff, something like that. But and usually like an animated sequence in a live action movie, you and I are like, that's cool, like bringing that, that's a fun idea to bring in. This one I didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, it almost felt like, well, for the people who didn't see the first one, we got to give them a little bit of a catch up, but they talk enough about what happens in the first movie. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, I think you really could have cut the animated part. I appreciated it, but it didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
So you cut that, cut the musical stuff, and then I think you have. I think it still would be a boring movie
because there's two locations. It's a courtroom or Arkham, and that's it.
Before we get into like my pitch,
okay.
Do you have a pitch?
I have.
Or have thoughts. Okay.
I have concepts of the pitch.
Yeah. Just real quick, at any point did you think early on Harley Quinn was a figment of his imagination?
No.
Okay. Because for like the first 15 minutes or so, I was like, I don't know if she exists in the real world. I mean, because the first time you introduce her, she says, "Hey," and the guards turn around, and Arthur turns around. She does a little thing, and the guards don't seem to really acknowledge it, and Joker walks away. And then at one point, she's like in his cell,
in the cell,
like, the guard let me in. I was like,
no, they didn't. It's like, and that's after she's been released.
Well, after she, oh yeah, I mean, I guess she like necessarily wasn't.
Because she's self-released. You know,
self-released.
They're not going to let you back in.
Yeah, but
not
like,
into the.
You were with him when it seemed like he was trying to escape. Like, you're here voluntarily, so maybe we have to let you go. But like, you're not going to go like take her down to solitary to have sex with him. That was absurd.
I really like that scene though. It just showed how like sad and pathetic he was.
That was the most awkward sex
where he was just like, "Yeah, can you do it for me?" Like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. I found it kind of sweet.
That was the only scene that made me feel icky. Because we've all been there. Anyway, so yeah, just real weird sex scene. And then, after those 15 minutes and she keeps interacting with people, I was like, okay, she exists. But I thought like there's a version of this movie where she doesn't exist.
No, I didn't think that, but I did like the take of, no, I'd like, yeah, she's a little crazy, but she's more of a star fucker than anything.
Yeah.
She says, I've done nothing with my life because, her parents are just like rich socialite people. She's a bored, rich, entitled person, and she's just going to hitch her wagon to him and is a gaslighter and trying to get him to do more because, hey, if he gets, put to death or whatever, she gets to live on and carry on his legacy. It's different because this Joker's different. Yeah. This Joker is so not like any other Joker we've seen. Like, he actively doesn't want to be it. By the end, once he has some sort of purpose in his life, he doesn't need to do those violent outburst things. So Joker is never like that. Joker loves doing this stuff.
Yeah.
And Harley's obsessed with Joker. And I like that when he's no longer Joker, she's just like, no, I'm not into it.
She's in love with Spider-Man. When Stacy's in love with Peter Parker.
Yeah.
She's in love. But, sorry. What were we saying?
You wanted to pitch something?
Yeah, but,
okay, so before we get to pitches, did you like the ending?
I was fine with the ending. I didn't hate it. I see why you would go that route, but I think we've already seen that route so many other times and other stuff. Whether maybe not a bunch, but isn't that kind of like the whole like thing of Gotham? Is like there was one version of Joker, but he kind of inspired other people to be like Jokers too.
I think that was a Red Hood thing, and I could be I don't know if this is a
I
comic
didn't
book
watch
thing,
Gotham.
or
I watched the
it
first
was a
episode. I was like,
Gotham,
this
because
sucks.
in the show Gotham, they do have people who, like, when you put on the red hood, it makes you want to be a criminal. And
Mm.
so the red hood wasn't necessarily just one person. So, and I think
Oh,
they were, and I thought that was kind of the idea after the first one. This isn't the Joker. This isn't Batman's Joker. This is the man that inspired the Joker.
sure.
And then by the end of this, like, I kind of saw it coming early on when he had his like little buddy with him. Like, oh, someone is gonna get him, and that's the real Joker.
Yeah.
So I like that he dies. I don't know if we needed him cutting his face. The guy who stabs him is, cutting the smile into his mouth,
I'm okay with it.
and which I don't care, and it didn't even cross my mind. But people were saying, "Oh, that's Heath Ledger's Joker." Like,
No, it's
what?
not. Shut the fuck up.
No, it's like, well, that's the Joker that has the scar. It's like, that's not a singular Joker thing. That had, like, Joker has been mutilated many times before. I didn't get that at all. I
No.
just saw that as like someone being a fanatic. You're not going to
Yeah.
be able to hold up
People
on
are
the
dumb.
mantle. I'll do it.
Yeah.
Was it necessary? Man, probably not.
I think I had another point, but it doesn't matter. So here's, I think, my pitch, and you can tell me if you think it sucks.
Okay.
So I think I'm imagining these movies as a trilogy. Okay.
Okay.
So the first one is Joker, Arthur Fleck, yada yada yada. This movie, the first hour of it, maybe should have just been the Harley Quinn movie. Like, you have Arthur Fleck popping up in the background. He's on newsreels or whatever, but you see her journey of, like, maybe you see her bad home life or great home life. She could have had everything. She sees Joker, something clicked. She gets a job at Arkham, and, like, she doesn't maybe even interact with him for the first, like, 45 minutes of this movie. It's just, like, all the Harley Quinn show, and you see, like, these little clues as to, like,
Is she a crazy person, or is she a psychiatrist?
in my version, she's a psychiatrist.
Okay.
So she's maybe fresh out of college, however you want to do it. And
Because the Harley Quinn audiobook that I suggested a while ago is very similar to what you're saying. But
okay, I did read that.
I think you should.
But so you just see this woman who, like, you get these clues as, like, why she's kind of troubled, but she's still, like, a functioning member of society, mostly normal, whatever. And then you have she's just like, she sees something in Joker when she sees him shoot Robert De Niro at the end, and just like, oh, I need to interview this guy, and, like, this will be how I can, like, make something of myself.
This will be my thesis.
If I can cure him,
Yeah.
then I'll be known as the greatest psychiatrist of
Mhm.
all time or whatever. And so she gets a job here specifically to meet him. They, for whatever reason, hit it off because they're two peas of the same pod, yada yada. And you see her descent into sort of, like, not madness, but
Yeah.
like why she would be into him, and he would like her because it's like, oh, a woman is paying attention to me, and she
Mhm.
happens to be pretty, and maybe she's just like, oh, well, I'm going to flirt with him because maybe that'll get him to open up. And then, sometimes maybe they talk about the split personality thing in here. It's like, okay, maybe she does bring out the Joker to talk to him.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, he's kind of dangerous. Like, I kind of like this. This is exciting. I've never had excitement like this before. It's like, yeah, he threatened to kill me today, but, like, I know I'm getting close.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, and then it's all leading to the trial of the Joker. That's, like, the big climax. Because I think all the trial stuff in this movie is really, really good.
We needed more.
Yeah. It's like, so if this is a 2-hour movie, the first hour is just like the Harley Quinn movie, and the last hour is Harley Quinn trying to help the Joker, like, get out of the death penalty or whatever. And then,
like, she'd be working with Catherine Keener,
Yeah.
and be like, look, I agree with you. We could,
yeah. And then you can
Put
still
me
do
on the
stuff
stand.
where they, like, hook up and she has a baby, or, like, and Arthur Fleck can still be sort of like a loser who's like, you know what, I'm not really the Joker. And she's like, oh, fuck, I wasted my entire time, like, fixing this or attempting to fix this guy, and now he won't be the Joker. He'll just go back to, like, being in prison and just being nothing. It's like, so that makes me nothing. And so she's like, no. And so she can still blow up the prison, or blow up the courthouse, or someone else does, or whatever. And Arthur dies, and then the real Joker exists. And then you see, like, Harley smile at the end because she's like, oh, I still have work to do, and she falls in love with this. I'm not saying that's what I want, but I think,
or she has the new Joker in her belly. Like, I'll give birth to
Yeah.
the new Joker.
And then it could just be like one take of it. Or it's
Yeah.
there's will she fall in love with the Joker that killed Arthur Fleck, or will she like fall in love with the Joker not in like a sexual way, but like
Hmm.
I love this Joker because it came from my body or whatever.
Hmm.
I don't know, but I think you make that an interesting. But I guess if you do in a trilogy, you don't kill Arthur Fleck, and then the third movie is like them doing a Bonnie and Clyde like on the run thing. It's like, oh well, how do we take over Gotham or escape Gotham or
Hmm.
whatever? But if you want to do a trilogy, that's how you, I
Sure.
think, do it. First movie Joker, second movie Harley Quinn, trial of Joker, third movie Joker and Harley, Bonnie and Clyde on the run. That's my pitch.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I think
And no musical stuff.
if she is, because I like the idea of her just being crazy and they fall in love in the institution and they're just two
Mhm.
crazy people together. I like that. If you're going to keep it with her not being a psychiatrist, she should have been on the outside doing what she can to disrupt things,
Mm.
trying to maybe break him out of the van, trying to, hiring some gangs to block the van, get him out. Oh,
Sure.
it is unsuccessful. She's the one that throws acid in Harvey Dent's face to like, he's the star prosecutor. If I take him out, they won't have, as sure of standing against him.
Mhm. Maybe she's the one who came up with the concept of like
The squirting
the
flower.
squirting flower
Sure,
thing. And that's, yeah. If that gave Dent the
yeah,
burns, that'd be cool.
she's working on the outside to really rile up all the people who are in support of him and
Mhm.
doing whatever she can to fuck with the legal
Because
system.
we already established at the end of the first one that he's got a whole slew of fans.
Yeah.
So like the people are there to be like recruited, and you kind of lost a lot of that in
Yeah.
this movie because
It's like, oh, they're
he's been
there,
stuck
but
inside. But yeah, they're rooting for him.
yeah.
But it's like no, you should have like these legions of people like doing things that
Mhm.
really fuck shit up.
I would have loved to have seen like the Gleason, Brennan Gleason.
Yeah.
Just like reading fan letters, like, oh, Arthur, here's another one, and them
I
professing
love
his
Brendan
love.
Gleeson, man.
I do too.
He
But
kills it and everything.
do you feel like they were leading to something with the guards that never happened? Like all the guards were pieces of shit,
Sure.
and like, oh, they're gonna get theirs. This is gonna be the big violent act when the Joker finally emerges. He's gonna get his revenge on all of them because they even hint at like they sexually abuse him. They like bring him into the bathroom and
Mhm.
stuff. He's gonna do some fucked up shit with them, but nothing really comes of that.
Yeah, and he even says like at one point like, "Oh, I'm going to kill you." So I
Mhm.
thought, "Oh, he's definitely going to." Even if it was like Brendan Gleeson being in the courtroom because he's like, "Oh, I'm part of the prison transfer thing," and then
Yeah.
the bomb goes off and then
Sure.
he dies. It's like in a way, it's like yeah,
He's
Arthur
bleeding
Fleck-
out, and Arthur finishes him off.
Something, yeah.
Something.
But yeah, nothing ever comes of
Yeah.
that.
I think okay. So if she's still crazy, she's working behind the scenes to do stuff. But I like the idea of her being his psychiatrist. That makes the most sense. It's the most comic accurate, and she is bringing this stuff out of the Joker. But I can see her being on like she's gonna lie and say he's sane. He's perfectly normal. He can't harm a fly. But she knows he has to be able to kill people. This
Yeah.
is who I love. And so maybe she has a break being on the stand of like, no, he is the best. Or you have the Joker find out she's writing a book. And so the prosecution is like, oh, are you only saying this because it's going to make you famous? And the Joker starts saying, oh, is Harley using me?
Mhm.
And that's what makes him snap into the Joker. And he kills Harley in the courtroom. Oh, you're clearly guilty. You have no remorse, blah,
One
blah,
of these
blah.
attempts to, and she's like, "I forgive you," and then that
Mhm.
starts this whole like, "I can abuse her,
Yeah.
like I was abused,"
Mhm.
and it's just
And it's the vicious cycle over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then no musical. And, I mean, if you wanted to have one musical number of like when they met, and he doesn't.
You can have a fun sequence in
Yeah.
it, but you need to make it fun.
Yeah, but you can't have 8 little moments of like Lady Gaga just looking in the mirror, going like, "I'm so happy, I'm in love. This is 3 lines from a song, dun dun," and then that's it. Like,
So before we move on, there's one moment in this movie I have to talk about.
Okay.
Because it's one of my favorite moments of cinema this year.
Oh, okay.
The bathroom joke.
Bathroom joke.
Well, okay. Let me just tell you, I've never laughed harder this year in a movie than this moment, and it's so fucked up that I laughed about it because I was the only person in the theater who did laugh. No one else laughed. So he's getting beat up by the guards, and he's like, "Hey, can I tell you guys a joke?" And they're all just like, "Shut the fuck up, Arthur!" And they're just like beating him up. He's like, It's about my mother. You don't remember this
I
one?
don't know.
Okay. And he goes like, my mom, she was dating all these guys who would abuse her, and one day I go to her, I was like, Mom, why you let these guys keep hitting you? And she's like, beats the hell out of me.
Yeah.
Oh boy,
No.
howdy, did I laugh so hard. I want to go on record. Abuse is not funny.
Not funny.
A good, well-crafted joke is funny.
Yeah.
And man, like, and also the context of it is just like, this is not a moment to make jokes. It's very serious, and then you're just like, you throw this out there.
Mm-hmm.
I was howling, and our mutual friend Nick was in the bathroom when this happened. When he came back, I was like, "Dude, you missed the best joke in the movie." I had to tell it to him, and he's like, "That is funny." In a movie that is called The Joker
Mm-hmm.
and has jokes that no one laughs at, man,
Mm-hmm.
that one slayed me. The first one had something like that too. When he first did stand up and was getting embarrassed, he did do a good joke.
Yeah.
I forget what the joke was.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, each of these movies has one joke that's really funny, and the rest is just like bleak bummer of a film.
Yeah.
But yeah, did that resonate with you at all? Like, did you think that was
No,
funny?
I did chuckle.
Okay.
I didn't laugh. I didn't
It is
belly
the biggest
laugh.
laugh I've gotten this year. Oh man, I thought it was great. But maybe I'm a psycho.
Yeah.
Anywho, so I'm gonna give this movie a. I feel like a C minus is kind of harsh, but it's kind of where I'm leaning. So I'll say C minus because it just. I think also because I like the first one so much, it's also the disappointment of it. It's nowhere close to that,
Yeah.
and as a movie, it doesn't quite work. And by the time it was over, it just felt.
Yeah.
annoying.
I've heard that a lot of this isn't the Joker movie I wanted, where like the first one, a lot of people said, well, that's not the Joker. The Joker's not pathetic. And you're right. He isn't like really your typical Joker. And this isn't your typical Joker sequel. I think, now that you laid the groundwork of what that first Joker movie is, I now know what to expect for the Joker sequel. We're going to have these bursts of violence that come out of nowhere, and him and Harley doing a Bonnie and Clyde or something like that. I think people expected something just very simple. And this is not that at all. Yeah. And so it's always just like a subversion of what you expect out of the movie. It's not what you're going to get. And if they did make a third one, it probably would do the same thing. Okay, now we know what's happening with Harley Quinn. I know where this is going. No, you don't. And it would be something completely different as well.
I respect them for going a different direction and trying something new in a time where like trying something new is so like not on the agenda for a lot of like producers and studios because like, well, we're constantly losing money.
Yeah.
Like,
and here's another one.
And here's another one. But I think if you're gonna go the musical route, well, one, I just don't think it fits in this world. But I think this is an opportunity. You know, in the comics, there's 3 versions of the Joker. It's like, okay, so Arthur Fleck is one version. This can still be Arthur Fleck in this one, but it's like, okay, but now you're getting the cartoony version that would like be in a musical.
Yeah.
And then you do a third one where it's like, okay, if the first one's the loser, the second one is like the cartoon, and the third one could be like the one because this is Arthur Fleck like becoming the crime lord of Gotham. You could do that
because it's like usually. The silly Joker that does like pies and pogo sticks, the crime the crime mob boss, the more Jack Nicholson Joker, and then the psychopath.
Yeah.
And so if the first one's kind of more of the psychopath, and then this is the silly one, then you do the mob boss. Now he fully embraces being the Joker, and he's gonna do it and become successful at it, and has his legion of followers, has his right hand gal. The next one would be Crime Boss.
And then you just throw Batman at the end. You throw a shot of just a cape flapping in the wind.
I mean, this is only 2 years after the other one, so Batman's 10, you know? Yeah. Batman right now is going through, like, dealing with his parents' death. He's probably acting up in boarding school, and he'll, you know, in 5 years, he'll be running away and learning martial arts and joining the circus. So this is just not Batman's Joker.
Yeah. It's just a shame that this is how this franchise seemingly will be. This is the end because I can't see Joaquin coming back for a third one because he's dead.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could do a version where like he's living on in Harley Quinn's mind or something like that. But it's like, I mean,
she's over him.
He's so good. Like you would want him in the third one.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if he's dead, then it's just you have this Oscar-winning, fantastic first one, and then you just have this like pretty underwhelming sequel. So, well, it is what it is.
Yeah. Next week, Terrifier 3.
I will not watch that.
I don't know what else is coming out. There's got to be something, but I know that's the big one for me.
Let's take a look.
Next
here.
week we may have issues recording. One of us is going away to a theme park and may
It's
not be able to
my fault
record.
this time.
So we'll see. Maybe it'll be early. Maybe not. Who knows? We'll try.
Let's see. Average Joe.
Average Joe.
The new My Hero movie. Oh, the Pharrell Lego movie.
Oh God.
Saturday night would be the movie we talk about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll watch Saturday night, and then I'll tell you
There's
all
also
about.
The Apprentice. If you want to watch,
Oh, really? Is that out?
that's on this.
Oh, is that? I thought that was like November. Cool. I'll watch that as well. Fuck, how am I supposed to go ride roller coaster rides when there's 3 movies I want to see?
Yeah, Apprentice, Terrifier 3, Saturday night, Piece by Piece, the My Hero movie. Big week for movies.
Yeah,
Of, like
lots of variety.
Yeah, variety. Most movies, I think most people don't care about, but stuff we would see.
Yeah, and I'll tell you all about every disgusting detail of
Wonderful.
Terrifier 3. All right, well, if you want to get in contact with us, we are at WRPLpodcast@gmail.com. We're on Instagram, TikTok, Threads, and... Did I forget one?
I don't know.
Something. What do you think of Joker 2, Folie A Deux? Gotta stop saying that. Hit us up with all your questions, comments, and concerns. As always, I'm Ben.
And I'm Steve.
And keep consuming.